We have a very special guest on this episode of Locked On Buffs, one of Colorado's multiple highly rated transfer portal players.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcast. So thank you guys for joining me today. On today's episode, we have a special guest. Drum roll, please. Joining me today is Zach Atkins, the Colorado tight end transfer from Northwest Missouri State. Zach, how you doing? Merry Christmas.
Hey, yes, sir. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. We're excited to have you. We're excited to see you in Boulder. There's a lot of things that people want to learn about you, know about you, because obviously the Colorado fan base, I don't know if you know this, they're very passionate, especially with the Coach Prime era in full effect. I'm sure you felt that on social media after your commitment. So let's just start from the beginning of your transfer portal decision, right? So you have a really good year over there in Missouri, and you decide to hit the portal, sort of see what's out there, right? And based on reports and everything, there was a lot out there for you. Talk about that. Talk about the reception you got once you went into the portal.
Yeah, so I hit the portal. Really, just wanted to bet on myself. Hit it. I didn't really expect everything that came my way, but it was definitely a blessing, and it was awesome. Just to have those, because I didn't get, obviously I didn't get this kind of attention in high school, so it was pretty awesome just to see all the hard work and dedication I put in, just kind of pay off. And yeah, man, when the Colorado offer came, I had a bunch of people reach out, and everyone was like Colorado, man, like woo, and that got, the Colorado fans, man, just blew up my phone, and like nobody else. Like I had offers from Ole Miss, Arkansas, Kentucky, South Carolina, and it was like nothing like it. So I can definitely see, man, super passionate fans and just a great fan base. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, once you get in the good graces of Colorado, they love you, right? So
yeah,
I saw
that's a fact.
It was funny because you posted the offer, and at the time I retweeted it from the account of this podcast, and I looked back at my tweet, and then I went onto yours and had like thousands of views. It was like a bunch of retweets, and I was like, oh, he's feeling the Colorado experience right now. So let's talk about that recruitment, because obviously, and Zach's being a little modest, I'll sort of air out his laundry a little bit. He racked up around 20-ish, maybe even more offers that we know of. Like you said, he had programs like Ole Miss, South Carolina, Kentucky coming after him. You took a few visits, right? You took a couple of visits, and you ended up on Colorado. So what was their pitch to you, and what made Colorado the right choice for you?
Yeah, so went to Ole Miss at first. Went to a game day there. That was the only game day I went to. Obviously, awesome environment. But at the end of the day, for me, it was all football, man. I wanted to go to a team that was going to compete for a championship next year, and Colorado was trending in the right direction. Obviously, had a great season this last year, and we're going to compete for a Big 12 championship next year, if not a national championship. And that's the expectation. And I wanted to go to a team that, the coaching staff is experienced and, is going to be there, for my last 2 years. And, I got faith that Coach Prime is going to be there for the next 2 years, and that whole staff. And, it just really just felt like home, whenever I took my visit, and the opportunity in the tight end room. I'm a true hybrid tight end, man. I can catch footballs. I score touchdowns. I can block. So just to have that opportunity at Colorado was just something that just I couldn't pass up, no matter how many other SEC schools offered me and whatnot. So
yeah, I appreciate the honesty there, because I think when we looked at this tight end room this past year, right, it was definitely, and Colorado fans know this, it was full of guys that I think they were hoping would break through, just didn't work out how they would have liked. And so having someone like yourself who's experienced, proven, is definitely a step in the right direction for this offense. And I want to have we had a one-on-one with Coach Prime yet, right? Have we talked to him? Have we got to meet him a little bit? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
talk about that.
Yeah, so on the visit, we sat down with Coach Prime, me and my parents. sat down with Coach Prime and the GM, and then the tight ends coach, and then also another coach. And man, we just sat down and I asked Coach some great questions, and he answered them with extreme detail. You know, he was really thoughtful answers, and you know, I just really appreciated that. And I asked him about the culture and, you know, how it was trending, and, you know, what does this team look like in a year from now? You know, and he gave incredible answers. And, you know, I think there's this outside view of Colorado of what it looks like with all the cameras and the flash and everything. But when you actually get there, I was surprised. It was totally unlike anything that I visited and seen. And, you know, it was just different, and I loved it, you know?
Yeah. So talk about, and you don't have to go into like exact detail, but what was like a question that you asked and he sort of gave you an answer where you're like, oh, wow. Like not that you weren't expecting it, but just one that kind of like really stuck with you.
Yeah. I'd say when I asked about the culture, you know, where do you see this team a year from now? And he said, you know, we're trying to, you know, move this thing in a direction, you know, because when they first got here, it was, he's bringing everyone. This last year, it was like, okay, we still need to bring a ton of dudes in the portal. And then this year, it's like, okay, we're really fine tuning. Like, we need a true tight end. Boom, you got me. Like, we need some linebackers, you know. Boom, they got some. Like, they're really just fine tuning now, and just really, you know, just that level of detail of building the roster. I just felt like, you know, this is like a place that can really do something special next year. Yeah. And he gave a great response, and I loved it. So
awesome. So your family got to meet him, and you guys got to see Boulder for the first time, I would assume, right? Talk about how, because when I went to Boulder for the first time, I'm from California, and for me, from California specifically, and for those of you who don't know, Zach is from Kansas. Colorado is like a very different place than both California and Kansas, and I think, at least for me, I had this like perspective of, it's like a blizzard 24/7. It's just this mountainous town. And like, I went there and I was like genuinely shocked with how upbeat the town was, how great the views were. Talk to me what your perspective was. A lot different than the cornfields, I'd imagine, right?
Yeah. So actually, I'm from a suburb of Kansas City. Okay. So it's not super country, but it's a little bit. It's still Kansas. And we've been to Boulder 2 times before. I came with my OV. So I've been there a couple times, and man, it's so clean. Everything about it, the city is so clean. Everyone loves the Buffs. It's like a true college town, and I just got that feeling. But still close to Denver and everything, and just the mountains and everything. It's just incredible, man. Like, just one of those places where it's like, you know, you got like the beach, then it's like the mountains. You know, like those are the 2 destinations everyone wants to be at, and just be able to play there is just really it's going to be amazing. So I can't wait to get over there, man.
Yeah, that backdrop of the mountains, it's kind of behind me right here. It was shocking, honestly, because like I said, being from California, like whenever I think of places where it snows a lot, I'm like, okay, it's going to be like a blizzard. It's going to be like this empty town. And then I roll up to Boulder, and I was like you said, a college town, right? Every restaurant you go to has like a Colorado Buffaloes helmet, a football, whatever it is. They have it there. Like the passion is there for Colorado. When we come back, we're going to take a quick break, Zach. We're going to talk about your journey from underrated receiver to tight end. That's one of the most sought after players in the portal. But first, I'm going to give a quick word from our sponsors.
Sweet.
This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. I love betting on which players will score a touchdown and how many points each team will score. It's thrilling. Obviously, Derrick Henry always feels like a lock. Justin Jefferson, him and Sam Darnold are always connecting. So those are the ones I look for. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. I'm joined by Colorado tight end Zach Atkins. Zach, let's talk about your journey. So I think you kind of snuck onto the radar, and this isn't me trying to shoot you down or anything. You obviously were lightly recruited. You were a receiver, ended up at Northwest Missouri State, and all of a sudden you enter your name in the portal and everyone's like, you need to know about this guy. And so let's talk about high school. You said it earlier on the show, very different recruiting process from now to then. Let's talk about how you got here. So walk me through senior year, Zach. What is the recruitment process like?
Yeah, so I was very obviously under recruited. I was about 6'4", 190. Still was first team All State junior year, senior year. Just every team projected me as a tight end, and nobody really wanted to give me the full-ride opportunity because, you know, that's a big, you know, it's a big change, and you know, so I was actually runner-up for the Otis Taylor, which is the best receiver in KC. So, you know, I was, not to toot my own horn, but I was pretty good. Like,
not
you
too
know,
shabby. Not too shabby.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was a pretty good receiver, and you know, used my length and jump balls and ran a 4.6, like, you know. But went to Northwest. I wanted to get some of my school paid for, man. I don't want to go walk on anywhere. Had a walk on from K-State though. Had a PWO, but decided to go to the you know, Division II route. Went to Northwest. I don't know if you know anything about Northwest, historic program. Won most natties in D2, I think. So went there, made the switch about a month in to my college career to tight end. Started putting on so much weight, just eating at the calf, and you know, having that unlimited meal plan at first.
You made the switch for them. You're like, you know what? I enjoy the free food.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So gained 40 pounds that year. Played my redshirt freshman year at 235. Played this last season at 240, and want to play this next season at 245, 250. So that's the plan.
So let's talk about your transition from receiver to tight end. Obviously, and I feel like, was there like a sense of pride in you where you're like, no, I could do this as a receiver, and then like you start playing tight end where you're like, it clicks for you, and you're like, you know what, maybe I should have been here all along.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, when I got there, I wasn't running by DBs. But I was like, you know what? If I make this switch, I know I'm the fastest tight end here, you know? And it worked out because, you know, I actually got faster as I got bigger and more explosive. So I actually shaved a little bit off my 40.
There we go.
So, yeah, I mean, made the switch, and I loved running against linebackers and safeties. I loved it.
So would you say that was the part that clicked for you when you realized, I'm not quite getting past the DBs, but when I look at the tight ends, I'm faster than them? Was that like your moment? Like, what was your moment where it's like, this is where I'm meant to be?
I think I won like really good practice at tight end where I was just routing everyone up, you know, and doing what I did at receiver, but doing it against the guys that are not as athletic as DBs, obviously. And I was like, you know what? I think I could do this. Like, I just got to get this blocking part down, and you know, I think I can really be a threat. And just worked spring ball, man. Worked all summer, and then took advantage of my opportunity when it came my redshirt freshman year. So started 3 or 4 games my redshirt freshman year, which is pretty good. I mean, if you know anything about the MIAA, it's a pretty legit conference. You know, we had 5 dudes from our team because we had a coaching change, hit the portal, and 5 dudes are D1 now. So it's a legit conference, man, and we got talent, and so yeah.
Yeah, those D2. I went to a D2 school. You know, there's talent out there, right? I think a lot of people just consider it's like, oh, is it not a SEC school? Oh, it's just some random school and bum whatever. Exactly. It's like, no, there's good players from everywhere, right? I think we forget that as a sports society because it's like, okay, I've never heard of, like, obviously this is an example. I hadn't heard of Northwest Missouri State, right? It's like, so that can't be a good school. And it's like, actually, Northwest Missouri State's out here killing it. That's what they do. That's kind of their thing. I know another school that at the D2 level that's really good is Tampa for baseball. They're really, really good at baseball. And so obviously the good old saying is, if you're good enough, they'll find you. And so they obviously found you, and they found you again in the portal. So little interesting note. I don't know if you know this, Zach. I'm gonna create a little rivalry for you. Kansas State is on the schedule next year. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So I got a couple buddies over there, and they already texted me, and man, that I definitely got that one circled. So I can't wait to play there in front of friends and family. And oh man, that one's definitely circled. So,
and Colorado, they want that one back. I don't know if you saw the game this past year, but they had it. They had it until the very end, and kind of gave a last minute drive and just didn't have enough time left on the clock. So I think you and the rest of the team are eagerly awaiting that Kansas State game, and obviously I expect both teams to be ranked at the time of play. So let's talk about your portal recruitment. We kind of hit on it already. Was it overwhelming? Because I know obviously the portal window is about a month-ish.
Yeah.
So was it overwhelming to have like all these coaches texting you, DMing you, be like, hey, what do you think about this school? Or hey, like walk us through that. Like what's the day-to-day?
Yeah, I mean, it is a little overwhelming, but at the end of the day, man, this is something I dreamed about since I was a kid. And to have that opportunity was just incredible, man. My first offer was I knew I had a couple things. I feel like I could, have played a couple places, and I thought I was going to get offers from a couple, smaller Division Ones. And then my first offer was Liberty. They offered me right on the spot, and I was like, it's a pretty legit school, man.
We just
got K Salt from there.
Yeah.
I mean that dude's legit. And then Arkansas called, and all the SEC schools, Ole Miss. And it was just incredible. I always believe in myself. I know I can play there, but actually have it happen, being a Division II guy was just,
to have it validated. I'm sure it was a great feeling.
Oh, exactly.
Right?
Exactly, man. I mean, I know I can play anywhere, but just to have it actually happen was just awesome. So
I'm glad that happened for you. Let's talk about sort of like if you had to put together, we'll go 4. I'll give you 4 checklist items where it's like, okay, I need this school to have good academics, good like offensive friendly to me. Like obviously you don't want to go to an offense where it's like, okay, Zach, you're never going to play on the field. We only go one tight end personnel max, like 6 plays. So what was your checklist of like, okay, this check the box, this check the box?
Yeah, I think obviously the the coaching staff
good one,
huge. I think the opportunity in the tight end room, opportunity to come in and compete for the one. I mean, that's all I want is just opportunity to compete. I think distance played a little factor. Colorado's only 10 hours from home. It's not insanely far. It's not like California or anything.
Right.
So I think that played a little factor, just like in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And and then also with that, my family can come see me play and whatnot in the Big 12. So
it's far enough to be on your own, but close enough to go home if you need.
Exactly. And that just opportunity to grow and be developed. Because at the end of the day, my goal is the NFL. So I want to go to a place that can weight room, nutrition, everything. There's so many factors. And Colorado, man, I mean, everything is just elite. It's just everything's elite. Facilities, nutrition, weight room, strength staff, trainers, athletic training room, elite. Obviously, coaching staff, elite. They
got a few pros walking around over there. They got some legends of the game just strolling through.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. You talked about you wanted to go to the pros, right? You want to go to the NFL, everyone's dream. Colorado, and I don't know if people are familiar with these two fellows, Kaidon Sanders and Travis Hunter, probably going to be top 5 picks, top 10 at worst. How did they like sort of, I won't say advertise them, but what is Colorado's like sort of pitch about Travis and Shedeur, and like how that could be you and say Kaidon Salter or something like that? Like how do they talk about those two guys who kind of, I think a lot of people don't realize this, but they changed the trajectory of the program probably for years to come. And so what was Colorado's sort of selling point about those two guys, if you don't mind me asking?
I think it's just two guys that, they just said like those two guys just, when your hardest workers are your best leaders, that's what happens. Like they're the best players on the team, but also they're the hardest workers. They're the dudes that go to class. Like they do everything right. Like that's culture. Like that's what they talked about. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously Travis and Shedeur are incredible players. Obviously. But when they do everything else right, that's what really develops that culture and everything. So,
Yeah, I think like you said, when your two best players are also like your best people as off the field,
people leaders. Exactly.
Yeah, that's a cool sort of thing, and that's an interesting selling point. And I also wanted to sort of, did you ever ask Coach Prime? Because I think this was like a big deal where it's like his kids are leaving, so everyone's like, okay, he's leaving, and he said it 1,000 times that he doesn't want to follow his kids. But did you guys talk about that at all? Like, you talked about like him being there past the tenure of Shador and Shiloh.
I think that he's said it a few times. Boulder's where he wants to be,
Okay.
and I believe him. Everyone in his staff, believes him, and whatever he says goes. So that's Coach Prime.
Yeah, I imagine. Was there a commanding presence in the room when you walked in, and you're like, oh shoot, like there's a little bit of aura in here?
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, that's the GOAT DB, one of the best athletes of all time, and throughout sports in general. To be able to talk to him and shop it with him, man, was just awesome. I mean, it was incredible. So I can't wait to like have that wisdom, be coached by him, every day. So
you'll have that every day. That's the crazy part. It's like it's not like a meet and greet, or it's just like a one-time passing by. It's like he's gonna be yelling at you pretty soon. How exciting!
Man, I can't wait.
I just got beat out by Deion Sanders. When we come back, we're gonna be talking about what your expectations are for you in the offense, the quarterback situation, and more. But we're gonna take another quick break.
All right.
This episode of Locked on Buffs is also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the best place to get all your sports, comedy, concerts, theater, whatever it is. They got all the tickets everywhere. They have all-in pricing. You toggle this feature and it shows you the total up front, so there's no surprise fees at checkouts. You shouldn't be clicking on a ticket that says $500, then all of a sudden it's $2,000 or something crazy. They have a seat view, which is my favorite aspect of the app. You just sort of tilt your phone a little bit and you get to see your exact view. I used it for a concert with my girlfriend, or fiance, not too long ago. They have the lowest price guarantee, which is Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if it's not the lowest price. They have Game Time ticket coverage, which means your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. The Colorado Buffaloes are in the Alamo Bowl. Go get you some tickets. I'm joined by Zach Atkins, a tight end signee for Colorado, Northwest Missouri State product. Shout out to all the D2 guys out there. We got two of them on the pod. So the D2 guys, we're not too bad. Not all of us are. Some of us are some really cool guys. Let's talk about what you're expecting, okay? Because this offense is going to be, I would imagine, different, right? You have Shador Sanders, who's going to be a top 5 pick. And they didn't have a lot of tight end opportunities, I would say, this past year, right? And so what is did you get to talk to Pat Shurmur about your vision for your role, what they expect from you?
Yeah, I feel like obviously they don't have Travis next year too, so they're not going to feed him the ball. But there's still a ton of playmakers that we got coming in and a ton of playmakers coming back. So I think we talked about we're going to have to run the ball more, obviously. Run the ball more. That opens up the pass game. The pass game opens up the run game. It's, they play off each other. So, I think that we're going to be more balanced offense for sure, because this last year we were about 70% pass. So, I think we'll be more 40-50% run pass, which is where we need to be honest. Just to keep the defense,
on their toes.
Yeah, exactly. Asking questions and whatnot. So yeah.
In terms of the quarterbacks, because obviously, and which I think Coach Prime and company, I think they did a fantastic job replacing Shador. I've talked about it probably 10 times since they landed Kaidon Salter. Is like replacing Shador Sanders is probably one of the hardest things to do in college football, because he brings so much to the table. He has a tremendous IQ. He's probably one of the toughest son of guns I've ever seen. Takes hits, gets back up, never is on the field just rolling around like I think some other quarterbacks across the country would be. And he obviously has a lot of talent. And so they lose that, and they bring in Julian Lewis, who's a 5-star that's currently getting some work in during the bowl practices. And then they also bring Kaidon Salter, who's one of the most experienced quarterbacks in the country. So what is sort of the expectation with the quarterback battle? Like, what are you excited to see from those two guys?
Yeah, they're both. It's really up in the air. They're both extremely talented. I've talked to both of them. I've talked to Juju. I've talked to K-Salt. Seem like two solid dudes. I can't wait to meet them and just get working with them, throw with them, whatnot. But yeah, man, I think it's up in the air. I think obviously K-Salt's got more experience, but Juju he's next up for sure. So I guess we'll see what happens.
It's a good problem to have when you have two really talented quarterbacks who are ready to sling the rock around. Let's talk about, and I think this is a question of what you expect, because if you've been following Colorado, and I'm sure you've seen glimpses of them in the media and stuff, Colorado's kind of perceived as a villain, if you will, in college football, right? They have like this, just as many fans that reach out to you that were excited for you. There's probably double that like want to see people in relation to Coach Prime fail. So talk to me about, did you feel that villain aspect reception wise, or did Colorado sort of talk about the attention that they get in a way?
No, I mean, I feel like when you're up, there's always going to be haters, and Colorado's definitely up right now. And I feel like I love being the villain. I always like root for the villains in movies. I don't know why. I just always have.
You're like, damn, yes.
I love it, man. I just I think that people in the locker room feed off that, and I definitely feed off that, and I can't wait to like be booed. Like I don't know what motivates me more, being booed or like being cheered on. Like, to be honest,
okay,
I love it both, man, and I just can't wait for that privilege, because they wouldn't be booing you if you're not good. So they wouldn't be hating if you're not good. So I love it, man. I can't wait for it.
They have that old saying where it's like, if you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong, right? And so I think that applies to Colorado. My last question before we go, if you had to describe your game to fans or just anyone in general, give me like 3 quick, like what are they getting in you? Like, what is your game, and what should they expect from you?
Yeah, man. I think that you're getting a dog. I think that Colorado's getting a true tight end that can do both. That can be a mismatch against safeties and linebackers, but can also block and open up the run game. I think that you're getting a dude that's extremely motivated and just ready to work, man. I'm a Division II guy, and I'll never forget that. And I'm definitely coming in with the chip on my shoulder, and I just can't wait just to work, and that's it. So,
hardworking guy, ready to make some noise. How could you not love that? We appreciate you for hopping on, Zach. Tell the people where they could find you. Obviously, you got some social media you want to work up and get that little NIL bump, huh? Tell the people where they could find you and where they can follow your work and all your journey.
Yeah, Instagram at Zach Atkins _ Twitter at Zach Atkins 24. So yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you for hopping on, Zach. It's been awesome getting to talk to you and get to know a little bit about you. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, so make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. I will see you guys tomorrow. Everyone, have a good Christmas Eve, and hopefully all you guys get a present or are done with your shopping, because I had to go do some shopping today. Wasn't great. It was pretty ugly at the store, so get that done. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Zach, have a good one.
All right, man. Hey, you too.
Yep.